Well, broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America. My name is Brian Engelman. It is Monday, October 30th, 2023, and this is an episode of the Strictly Browns show powered by the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Here with the New American Media. So, if you're normally here for the New American Media for the purpose of checking out today's current events, all the things going on in the world, today is going to be one of the sports shows. Feel free to tune out. The only major story that I'm going to cover today, which once again will be a diversion from the strictly Browns parameters. Basically, what we're looking at is a story that was really disturbing. I want to lead with this real quick before we get into the Cleveland Browns loss yesterday, 24-20 against to the first place Seattle Seahawks. They're a pretty good team, and we played them tough. Let's try to stay a little positive. I'm not the most optimistic, positive guy in general, but there's some takeaways here. The good, the bad, the ugly, the almost, the what have you. We're going to get into it, but first, I want to talk about this story. Do I have to click this twice or did it pop up? Nope, got to click it twice. Thank you, Restream. I don't know what that glitch is. I want to talk about this story. This is Adam Johnson. He is a hockey player. So here, let me just tear through this story off of ESPN. Police in England are investigating the death of former NHL player Adam Johnson, who died in what his team described as a freak accident during Saturday's game. The Nottingham Panthers, who play in England's Elite Ice Hockey League, EIHL, announced Sunday that Johnson died after his throat was cut by a skate blade during a collision in Saturday's. Well, during a collision in Saturday's game against the Sheffield Steelers. Johnson was 29. Johnson received emergency treatment on the ice before being taken to Sheffield's Northern General Hospital. Nearly 8,000 fans at the arena were asked to leave the building because of what the Panthers announced as a major medical emergency. The South Yorkshire Police announced Monday that officers remain at the scene carrying out inquiries, and our investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident remain ongoing. Now, this is where I could play you the video. You know what? I'm not going to. Maybe I'll do a standalone for this topic because I think charges will be brought. Charges should be brought. This was a strange play. He dropped his shoulder to go ahead and make contact with one of the other players, but then he lifted his leg up. And this is a guy, I guess he's been kicked out of 2 of the last 3 games. Where's the guy that did it? Hang on, I read his name. Hang on. Did they not tell me the name? Okay. Well, like I said, we're going to get into that story a little bit later. I'm mainly here to cover what happened with the Browns game. But if you watch the video and if you're following the New American Media and the Unhappy Hour, you've probably seen this in our feed. So this is a good opportunity to remind you on Twitter, X, we are at the Unhappy Hour _. That's where our sports show is. And at American_media_ for the New American Media and for the Unhappy Hour. We shared the video. Also follow us in all the places, YouTube and Facebook, but Telegram as well, Rumble. But yeah, the video appears as though this is an intentional act of violence. I was a little slow to the story. I saw, a freak accident. Like, wow, that's brutal. And then I saw it, but it happened so fast. I didn't really, you're looking at a little screen, and I didn't really kind of catch what people are now talking about. But to me, it seems obvious that this guy needs to be charged. It seemed like remember how Minka Fitzpatrick blew out Nick Chubb's leg, and it seemed like that's not a clean play. He should be suspended until or unless Nick Chubb is able to get back on the field. That's my personal opinion with Minka Fitzpatrick. If you're not willing to hit a player on your own team like that in practice, then it's a dirty play. You don't see players lift their leg to slash a throat. It was a hit into the shoulder, but like he intentionally was trying to just watch the video. You be the judge. But anyhow, that's a developing story. I fully expect to see charges brought soon. But you tell me in the comments, did you watch this? Do you have similar thoughts? Leave your comments in the chat. I will try to communicate with you if you drop your chats here on the restream. Hopefully I can see them and read them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I want to talk about the Browns game yesterday. So this was, second game on the road. Of course, I was there in Indianapolis last week. Tough environment, and we pulled out a win. Really gutsy team. Really fought hard. Not a lot of quit in the team, and that's a good thing. And we saw that 2 weeks ago. Well, 3 weeks ago, I guess, with the 49ers. It was a game that we could have mailed it in. We could have gone away and had many excuses. And we'll get them next week. But we fought. We came back. We won that game. Yeah, a little bit of luck here and there, and a penalty call and a field goal that didn't go. That's the game. Um, but in this one, it was just a lit. We One or two plays could have changed the whole outcome of this game. So in the first quarter, I saw several almost tackles. Uh, there were a lot of plays where the mobility of Geno Smith kept him from suffering, what a lot of players have is, sacks from Miles Garrett and the rest of that Browns defense. His mobility, he has a good pocket presence. You talk about one of the reasons we got rid of Baker Mayfield. He had happy feet. He bailed on the pocket too soon. Deshaun Watson, to me, he just looks uncomfortable under center and behind in the pocket. He just looks uncomfortable, and you either have that or you don't. I mean, Tom Brady, he wasn't very mobile. He would stand in the pocket and he would deliver some throws. He took some hits, but he understood how to move in the pocket, but stay in the pocket. Gino was moving around. He was able to get outside and he was able to extend plays a little bit. Not necessarily running like Michael Vick or Lamar Jackson, because remember, we had two quarterbacks in big games. Two of our biggest, well, I guess one was a win, one was a loss. So Gardner Minshew rushed for two touchdowns against us, and Lamar Jackson rushed for two touchdowns against us. We showed people now on tape that we have a vulnerability to running up the middle, and we saw that. We saw that on the Jake Bobo touchdown up the middle. Um, we have a bit of a weakness there. Is that something that is coaching? Is that something that's scheme? Is that something that's players? Or it's just, sometimes that happens. Or is it the failure of the linebackers to fill the gaps that the defense leaves you? Uh, Middle linebacker, I'm looking at you. So once again, that's something to clean up. You look at PJ Walker, third string quarterback. He has a propensity to turn the ball over, which is really unfortunate because he can make some decent plays as well. But um, PJ Walker, he's thrown quite a few really nice passes to Cooper. Mari Cooper had several, I believe, both in the first quarter. Several times, really nice passing plays. He has the ability to make some nice passes. He also has a tendency to get sacked and have a fumble because that's what kind of came up next. First quarter on that sack fumble. If you go back and watch what happened there, you'll see that Pierre Strong was lined up on the top of the field, and he was wide open by a good 10 or 15 yards. He just spun around and he was there for a screen. PJ, you gotta hit him. I, this wasn't even wide open. Nobody even remotely near him. If he makes that throw, he doesn't take that sack, and we don't give the ball away. These are big things. But this is kind of what you can expect out of a third string quarterback. So you just kind of have to start asking yourself, is Dorian Thompson Robinson, is he done now? Like we're just like that experiment's over? He was our backup quarterback. Wasn't he supposed to stay as our backup quarterback? Like we're just on to PJ Walker and that's the thing and it's over with, all said and done? I don't know. Is there a possibility? Let's talk about it. Is there a possibility that we need to make a move? We have like 2 days left, right? For the trade deadline. Kirk Cousins was mentioned because he knew Kevin Stefanski and the Vikings might have been in rebuild mode and at the end of his contract for several reasons. And the Browns have the most cap room in the league. Maybe they could have worked their magic and done something for Cousins, but Kirk Cousins blew out I believe it was the ACL. No, or was it his knee? Or was it his ankle? Either way, he's done for the year. Maybe it was his ankle. Anyway, leg injury out for the year, so he's no longer an option. Uh, what about Jameis Winston sitting there behind Derek Carr? He used to play as a starter. He's one of those players that was injury prone as well. He did have some eye surgery, and I guess his vision cleared up, and then he went on and had a couple of big moments, some big games, but then he was relegated to the backup role. Maybe that's a player to look at. He's got an arm. I don't think he's that expensive as a backup right now. Is that someone you send a seventh or a sixth or a fifth? What's a backup quarterback worth these days? Maybe they have somebody else they could. Who knows? Um, but Jacoby Brissett, I would keep my eyes on Jacoby Brissett. He is backing up Sam Howell. Sam Howell had a big game. I think he had 4 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, for the Washington Commanders. And he has familiarity with the Cleveland Browns offense, having led it. He was the starter last year when Deshaun Watson was suspended. So that's a thing. Um, anyway, additionally, um, it's just these unforced errors, the strip sack fumbles, the interception, the other interception. They pile up in this Cleveland Browns team. I believe we lead the league in giveaways. You're not going to win a lot of games in giveaways. Being 4-3 with as many, well, we are so far upside down on the turnover game. It almost defies logic that we're able to compete at a high level. And we're roughly a 500 team. I would hardly call us a high level, but we're beating some good teams, and we got beat by a couple good teams. I think that Steelers game, we really gave that one away with the fumbles, the interceptions, the bad decisions, the sloppiness, if you will. We got beat by a Ravens team, but would we have been beat if we had a decent quarterback back there? That was the game that Dorian Thompson Robinson just thrown to the wolves. The team kind of expected Deshaun Watson to play that game, and so DTR didn't really get a lot of the reps. Had he had the reps, or maybe it would have been different. We just don't know. But anyway, quarterback position is going to be something because we were saying that the defense was dominant, but I mean, how dominant are they? I'll get to that in a second because they have their moments. Look, our defense has the ability to be dominant any given Sunday, but we've also had some problems. Maybe some of the hype is a little bit of hype, and we need to kind of pump the brakes there a little bit and slow down. But anyway, Walker once again just isn't looking for the open guys. Um, he's obviously trying to find the open guys, but he's missing glaringly open people. This is a trend, and this trend reared its ugly head on that final interception that I'll get to in a moment. But I just want to talk about the running back position. I know we had discussed, should we go after Jonathan Taylor with the Colts when they were having their contract dispute, and a high-priced running back. You can't really have two of those on your roster at the same time. But with Hunt being done for the year and us being in our Super Bowl window with Miles Garrett, with Denzel Ward, with Joel Bitonio, with um, some of our best players in contract in their peak years, you got to go for it. But when Chubb went down, it was like, how much are we going to falter? But I just want to say this: Pierre Strong, he looks like a pretty good back. He had several plays that went for big yards. Uh, he's got a burst, and he has a tendency to get chunks of yardage. I think he's pretty good. That's in addition to Jerome Ford. Some people say he can't. He reminds them of Trent Richardson, who couldn't find the open hole. But Jerome Ford does have a skill set, and he's given us some big plays this season. He's serviceable. He's somebody that can rip off an 85-yard touchdown or 81 yards, whatever it technically was. And then also Kareem Hunt with another touchdown, big yards, big play, up the gut for a touchdown. And I really liked seeing how they're using our lineman, Nick Harris. Nick Harris getting work as a fullback, moving him around, getting an extra lead blocker. Remember they put Michael Dean, no, the refrigerator Perry in it running back as a fullback for the Bears. To see that thing charging at you, you're like, oh boy, now that's going to be a good blocking back. But yeah, Nick Harris getting extra work back there. I like that. He's got some wheels on him. David Njoku doing well. Uh, his touchdown. So we fell 14-0, I believe. Was it 14-0? Anyway, it ended up at 14-7. However that played out. But Njoku, he's a playmaker. I wish, and we do. We target him a lot, but maybe we could target him an extra couple times. He's a big target. He's an athletic receiver, and he can rip off nice chunks of yardage as well. That inside pass shovel play, it's a really nice high efficiency play, something that can give a quarterback some confidence. And look, we fell behind. It was what was it, 17-7? What it was? I'm looking at my notes here. I think it was 17-7. Fell behind, and in the beginning, it felt like we were going to get steamrolled. It really did. It kind of went like, "Oh, here we go." It reminded me of that first Baker game uh, when he came out. What was that? 2019, and we had all those high expectations. I think it was prior to the pandemic year, and we went to the game. I went with my brother and my college roommate, and it was against the Titans. Oh, they rolled us. They came out the gate, and it just got worse and worse. It was that same season, I think, maybe, where I went to New England in Foxborough. We came out with a big touchdown in the beginning, and then nothing went right the rest of the game, and it just went, oh, it's going to be one of these days. Oh, it's going to be one of these days. Good Lord. One of these days. But we fought. We fought back, and we brought it close again. So it was 14-7, and we battled. And this is the first place Seahawks team. They are good. They have talent, and let's not get too down about ourselves. We only gave up 24 points. That's 6 points a quarter. That if these are games it's possible to win. Now maybe it's less likely to win when you have a backup quarterback, your third string quarterback, but it's not as difficult as what it was last year when we had a kicker that we couldn't count on. Dustin Hopkins, he's been money. Two more kicks, extra point, like no glaring glitches, no big mistakes. For the most part, he's been a fantastic addition. He's really solidified that point scoring aspect of our special teams. And you just can't leave points on the field. You got to take them. You got to collect them. If you can't get your 7, you better get your 3. And we have been. And that's what I mean. The team just fights. So let's not keep bashing nonstop. We really do have a gritty team. Might not be pretty sometimes, but the defense gave up some touchdown passes and some big plays, and we also had some takeaways. In the grand scheme of things with the defense, the takeaways can correct a lot of errors. In fact, at the end of the first half, Martin Emerson Jr., huge, huge interception. That interception took likely points off the board. Maybe it would have been 3, maybe it could have been 7, but they were in good field goal range right there, and he ended the first half with that pick. Huge play. And for what our defense couldn't do in some ways, they made up a lot of it by taking that possession away. So you got to give credit. It wasn't just that our defense played terrible. They had moments where they played poorly. They had moments where they played great. A little bit of both, actually. So anyway, also let's not forget Maurice Hurst on the defense. Maurice Hurst, he had a big tip, and he got the interception. When you can get the tip interception from a big guy, man. So we had two large takeaways there. And do we pump the brakes on talking up the defense, or it's a long season and it's going to balance out? Sometimes you give up fewer yards, sometimes you have more takeaways. But like I said, unfortunately, we didn't win the takeaway battle. We gave it up, a fumble and an interception, and it just every time we could have capitalized, we were unable to put our boot on a neck and take it down. I mean, we took the lead 2017. Um, by the way, before we took the lead, I just want to say that in the third and fourth quarter, not Anthony Walker, PJ Walker, he had a couple of QB sneaks up the middle. I'm curious, were these designed runs by Stefanski, or is this something that PJ Walker saw and PJ Walker wanted to take? I kind of feel like when you're on your third quarterback, it might not be a great idea to be exposing your quarterback to additional hits from linebackers or linemen running the ball on called quarterback running plays. I get it. It's a game. I get it. You're going to get tackled. I get it. Injuries happen. I get it. You take what the defense is giving you. But when you're on your third quarterback, you want to slow down and make sure you're doing it right. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And so I have concerns about that. I have worries. Why call those if you already got one quarterback that's not ready for prime time. What do you do if he gets injured? You go back to DTR? Really, what do you do? But anyway, Browns took the lead 2017. Um Actually, why did my notes show that? 2017 there. Because here, what's the sorry, it's refreshing. Oh, it's so refreshing to get a win. Uh, where's it at? Box score? No, the play but the David Njoku, Kareem Hunt. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why I'm trying to remember what happened first. Okay, Hunt scored in the first quarter. Then it was the David Njoku touchdown. There we go. Sorry, my notes got scribbled. Anyway, David Njoku had several big plays. Maybe try to toss it to him another time or two because it's a good safety valve. You take what the defense gives you, but sometimes there's a tendency to overfeed Amari Cooper. And was some of that part of the problem with Baker Mayfield when Odell Beckham was in and he was trying to force feed it to him, and he wasn't taking the play as it existed. He was trying to create the play and forcing it to him. And that's a good recipe for disaster because when Beckham went out, Baker got better. Is that because he was ad libbing and freestyling his plays? Was he not running his routes? Is it that Hollywood Higgins was more in tune, like he was a better route runner? I don't know. But anyway, Cameron Mitchell, rookie Cameron Mitchell, playing defensive back. Oh man, late in the game, Geno Smith threw a. It was a good play. It was just a good. It wasn't the worst throw. It was a good break, and it was just pay dirt. You had a pick six in front of you. I believe he would have had clear sailing for a touchdown to put 7 points on the board. And look, this is a game that was 4 points. We could have won by 3 if we put that 7 on the board right there. We got the ball back, but man, when you get those opportunities, you really have to capitalize. Because when you don't capitalize, those are the plays that you look back on. And you go, what could have been the Steelers game if we didn't have those turnovers? Oh, what could have been? You look back on a season, you go, remember what was that one recently? We lost that Jets game. And it was like, we had that game won. How did we? And at the end of the season, you go, if we just didn't give away that Jets game, we could have had a totally different season. These things all add up. Elijah Moore had a few good plays. I'd like to see him getting those slant routes, the crossing routes. Some of the trick plays, they just kind of don't seem to be working. I mean, how many times have we seen Elijah Moore take the ball and run 15 yards backward? I get what you're trying to do, but if that ain't it, get him on the crossing routes, the slants, the quick hits, quick outs. But anyway, defense started tightening up in that third quarter, or in the second half rather. 7 consecutive stops when the Seahawks got to third down. So, I mean, we're talking maybe not 3 and outs because they might have had some first downs in between. I'm not entirely certain, but 7 consecutive third down stops in the second half. Miles got his first sack in the fourth quarter, big once again, because if you can rattle a quarterback by putting some energy into him, that can impact the rest of the game. They'll be seeing ghosts out there, seeing shadows. So yeah, we trailed 17-7 and we came back. We were close. That's a 5-2 Seahawks team. We're 4-3 now. Um, there's going to be questions. There's going to be questions about that running play. It's around 2 minutes left. 2 minutes to go. Why did we throw the ball? Why did we throw it? But if you look at the uh, screenshot of that moment, there were two people that were open, maybe two and a half people that were open. And he just force fed the wrong person, threw a bad ball. But with that little time left, and you have the lead and the field position being where it was, wouldn't it have just made more sense to run it? Maybe Kareem Hunt up the middle? Why couldn't we have forced them to burn another timeout or force them? And at that point, what if you get 2 yards? Then do you go for it on fourth down? You get that first down, you could effectively win the game, run the clock out with the lead. Couldn't do it. So there's a lot of second guessing going on right now with Kevin Stefanski. Why did he pass the ball? Why did he pass the ball? Well, remember a couple of years ago, Pete Carroll, the coach of the team who we were playing, he had the same exact issue in the Super Bowl. Remember that crossing pass that was intercepted by the Patriots at the goal line instead of handing it to Marshawn Lynch? My, how the turntables, how the turntables. It's just interesting how comparing storylines because Pete Carroll is right, got to be right at the top of why didn't you run the ball? But now Kevin Stefanski's facing the same thing. So a lot of people are saying he called a pretty good game up until that. In a lot of these, it's the bounce of a ball, an interception that wasn't, and a missed tackle or a shoestring almost sack that turned into a long gain. It's a game of inches, men. It's a game of inches. And it really is. But look, we're 4-3. If I believe if the playoffs started today, we'd have a spot. Let's just pause. 7 games into the season, 8 weeks into the season, and we're a playoff team. Now, I don't feel good about it. We got the Bengals hot on our tail, and we're playing far from perfect. But that's the story of the season. That's what happens when you play 16, 17 games now. So just take a breath. Let's see. I fully expect Jacoby Brissett to come back. I hope we don't have to give up more than a fifth. Uh, but there were those stories that were reported if the Commanders lost to the Eagles, then it was highly likely that there was going to be a fire sale, that they were going to go ahead and go into tank mode, rebuild mode. And if that's the case, you got several people on the Washington team who could become available. Eagles beat them, but it was a 38-31 game. We'll see. You just wonder, like, if we had Josh Dobbs, could we be undefeated? Could we be 5-1? Wait, what's my math? 6-1? 6-1 instead of 4-3. We could have probably won one of those games with competent quarterback play. Like I said, PJ Walker, he can make some throws, but he a fumble, a turnover. It's a ruiner. It really is a ruiner. 2 interceptions and a fumble for PJ Walker. 28.7 QBR, 59.6 rating. That is not good enough to get it done. So I, for one, I hope we do something at quarterback. I think we're talented enough to compete. We do have some playmakers at key positions. Let's go for it. I don't know. I don't know how many weeks they expect Watson to be gone. I've just kind of written him off for this season. Maybe that's foolish of me. Maybe I'm onto something. I really don't know. Maybe nobody knows and everybody's just guessing. But this whole he was cleared to play but couldn't play. He played a series, but then he went out for a concussion, but he was cleared, but then he didn't come back in. Why not come back in? I guess he just couldn't make the throws. And I've had a shoulder injury, and it's the weirdest thing sometimes. to describe a shoulder injury is that you do normal things and you think you're fine until you go to pick up a bag, but it's like the certain way that your arm's extended and a certain way that the weight torques down, or if you go to stand up but you kind of forget, or if you're knocked off balance and you have to catch yourself, or especially in football, you're getting thrown around, banging, people hitting you, people falling awkward. The shoulder's a weird joint that way. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And the only thing that fixes it most of the time is a surgery. So I don't know. I don't know if they expect Watson to be back, but if we can get Jacoby Brissett at a fair deal, I say we go get him immediately. Because I said it last year. I said if we had Jacoby Brissett play all of those games, we would have been a playoff team. But no, they had to play their franchise quarterback. And he stunk. He stunk last year. Stunk. Stink, stink, stunk. Um, but you don't have a $230 million Ferrari and not take it out on the road. But I was just arguing the opposite point there, saying you don't take your Ferrari on a quarterback run up the middle. But maybe that's the equivalent of not taking your Ferrari off roading. All these metaphors, right? But look, the Browns are getting ready. They have a game. If you look at the roster, if you look at the schedule, rather, this is a game coming up that you would cross off as we need to get this one. That is going to be the Arizona Cardinals on the road again, right? On the road again. I'm on places that I've never been. Where are the scores, the stats? Actually, why can't I see this? I believe it's on the road. There we go, Cleveland. Oh, no, 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 I'm sorry. Yeah, I wasn't confident about that. Cardinals are visiting the Cleveland Browns. Cardinals are 1-7. That's a game you need to get. Browns are early favorites, 7-point favorites at home. Then to round out the schedule, let's just tell you who's coming up. Tell us, how many wins do you think this team could get? We have 4 wins, 3 losses. We have the Cardinals. Here, I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna go. Ready? Cardinals win. Ooh, Browns at Ravens. Jeez, it's so weird to think that Ravens game was us at home. It felt like we were on the road. And we got whomped 28-3. That Steelers game was only a 4-point game, 26-22. But we steamrolled the Bengals, only allowing 3 points, 24-3. We steamrolled the Titans, 27-3, only giving up 3 points. That 3 points came back to us at the Ravens game. We only scored that many. But yeah, we won 19-17 against the Niners. We won 39-38 against the Colts. Then obviously dropping 24-20 to the Seahawks. So coming up on the schedule, Cardinals, we can win. At Ravens, let's face it, unless we have Deshaun Watson playing like he did against the Tennessee Titans, that's going to be a tough game to win. Steelers at the Browns, we're going to get that game. Browns at Broncos on the road again. I keep saying that. I need to find a similar phrase. I just want to sing about that again. But yeah, the Broncos, they're a 3-5 team, but they just beat the Chiefs. They held the Chiefs to almost nothing. Man, wouldn't it be great if that Kelsey and uh, Patrick Mahomes drama finally stopped? Wouldn't that be refreshing? It's so old, so tired of it. Some Cleveland fans felt that way about Baker and all of his commercials. I'm like, he did a couple of progressive commercials and they were funny. They were actually funny. Some of these other ones are like contrived likability, and it's like, ugh, Mr. Pfizer. Anyway, Browns at Rams. The Rams are a 3-5 team. They're beatable, but Cooper Cup is back now, and they might be a little bit tougher. But that's a game I would say we need to win on the road. Tough, but Jaguars is coming up. That's going to be another tough one. They're 6-2 right now, but that'll be at home. I think that's a game that we can battle for sure. Bears at Browns. That should be a Browns win. Bears are 2-6. Texans, they've been doing better than a lot of people thought, but they're still only 3-4. That's a game that I think we can win. Jets at Browns. Those are two 4-3 teams. Jets with a pretty strong defense. So we'll see how that shakes out. But theoretically, that's a game we could win. And then Browns at Bengals to wrap up the season, the regular season, because as I mentioned, we could be a playoff team. I would love to get back to the playoffs. We thought the Diamondbacks and the Rangers were going to play in the World Series. Just get into the postseason and anything can happen. So relax, everybody. We have a talented team. We have several key injuries at quarterback and running back. Good Lord, those are tough ones to just fill in with some geek off the street, but we're fighting. We're scrapping. We took that late lead 2017. We almost took out the Seahawks. If we left Seattle with the win, being 5-2, how does that feel today? Walking in victory Monday. But it wasn't meant to be. But I am very excited about the fact that we are tough, resilient, resourceful, not perfect, but we do make big plays. We have big time players, and they say big time players make big time plays in big time games. So, something to think about. So, that's the wrap up for this game. This has been an episode of the Strictly Brown Show, powered by the Unhappy Hour on the New American Media because the old American Media failed you. Follow the Unhappy Hour in all of the places and stay involved in our groups. Our groups are fantastic. We communicate about sports nonstop. And I'll give you more Browns information and we'll cover, once again, that awful hockey story. So, you see Nick Chubb go down and you see that. Oh, it's just we'll see how it shakes out. But leave me in put your comments. Tell me. Leave your comments. Once you watch that video, and if you already have, you're ready to give me an opinion. Do you think that hockey players should face criminal charges? I'm inclined to say yes. Convince me otherwise. Change my mind, if you will. But yeah, big game against the Cardinals. If we can, if it's big if because any given Sunday anything can happen. But if we're able to get a win, let's just imagine we'd be 5-3, and we would continue to stay in that playoff echelon, stay on the other side of hoping for bad things to happen to teams above you. Just stay focused. Don't worry about the cars behind you. It's like Mario Kart. You got 9 racers behind, or however many racers behind you. Just keep your eyes on the prize. You're in the position. It's like the Mario Kart Cup, like the Mushroom Cup, and you've compiled enough points where you're going to be the winner as long as you don't fall out of 4th place. And we're in the perfect position. Just if we, as long as we get something for here, we're going to get 1st place. Just don't fall too much. Don't falter too poorly. Too Yeah. Don't play too poorly and make sure that you take care of business. And that's one of the games that are coming up against the Cardinals for sure. Take care of business. We're 5-3, and we are a playoff caliber team at that point. So, looking forward to next week. Tough loss, but let's just catch our breaths, guys. We didn't expect to lose Nick Chubb. We didn't expect to. Well, some of us expected Deshaun Watson. I never really cared for Deshaun Watson. I didn't really think he was all that talented per se. I mean, I know he put up Pro Bowl numbers. I know he chucked it up and got a national champion. I know he has the pedigree. I know he has the resume. I just never really thought he was that good. I never really cared for him that much, and maybe that was just a function of maybe not watching him that often. But I was hopeful. I even drafted the guy in my fantasy football league. I thought he was going to come out and have a big year. But even before the injury, he wasn't playing well. He got one good game against the Titans. It was a good game, not a great game, a good game, and a win, a big win. But who would have thought that Watson would still be struggling? The injury, set the injury aside, but now they're calling into question his heart. Uh, well, not like he has a heart condition, luckily, yet that we're aware of. It's just, does he have a desire to get out there? He's got a fully guaranteed contract. But on the flip side, most quarterbacks kind of have fully guaranteed contracts because you're not going to cut your superstars. I get that. but he's played far from superstar status. Who would have thought this would be our weakest position? So I would feel a lot better about this team moving through this season. If we're going to get Watson back, that'll be a bonus. I've set him on the shelf for the whole season. I'm anticipating we're not going to see him play. If he does, that'll be a bonus, but he's got to play better than he did in Indianapolis because, Lord, he looked terrible there. But if we can upgrade PJ Walker with Jacoby Brissett, and I would consider that an upgrade, I would feel much more confident about our opportunities to continue as a playoff football team, keep winning the games we're supposed to win, and maybe pull out a surprise victory. A Ravens, or I don't know where we're going to be necessarily underdogs, but that Ravens one probably. I mean, absolutely, based on the body of work as of today. I would feel more comfortable going into that game with Jacoby Brissett than PJ Walker. But look, PJ Walker took care of business and we were up 2017. If the defense just holds them, if they just hold them to a field goal, at least we're in overtime and we got a chance. We extended the opportunity to win. They couldn't even do that. So, this in a way was a team loss. 3 turnovers from PJ Walker. It's of course it's on PJ Walker. But it's also on that defense. If you want to blame Stefanski for not running the ball to try to run the clock out, I understand. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong about that. And I kind of said the same, just run it, but things happen. That's why you play the game. And that's why it's so unpredictable and so fun sometimes to watch, which is why we enjoy sports, the unpredictable nature of it from time to time. So I appreciate you. I love you. Go Browns. We'll talk to you again soon. All right. Take care, everybody. Peace out.